Welcome to the quick snap review of the fundamentals of chemistry. Today I'm going to talk about atomic structure and how you are to draw it and know the subatomic particles for the atomic structure. So in the previous session, when we looked at the periodic table, we defined what an atom was. An atom was the simplest particle that exists on its own, that cannot be broken down any further by any chemical means. So this led to what we know the atomic structure is today. So when you look at and draw the atomic structure, you have what we call a nucleus. Okay? In the nucleus, we have protons and we have neutrons. And then we have these shells or energy levels which will have electrons. Okay, so these are electrons. So if we go back to what lithium was, we said lithium, this is the atomic mass, and the bottom one was the atomic number. Okay, so let's go on the structure again of the atomic structure. So you've got the nucleus, and then you have protons and neutrons inside, and here we've got energy levels, and then you've got electrons. So these are the subatomic particles that make up the atomic structure. So we said the atom was the basic element or the simplest element that exists on its own, that cannot be broken down any further. However, that we know that now that the atom is made up of these three subatomic particles: protons, neutrons, and electrons. Okay, so how do you figure out the protons, neutrons, and electrons for each different element? So when they ask you to draw the atomic structure, you need to be able to draw it like this, where you label the protons, neutrons inside the nucleus, and then you draw the energy levels, and you draw electrons on the outer shell, representing the electrons there, the sub-energy levels, the nucleus, and inside you've got protons and neutrons. So that is the atomic structure as we know it today. So let's look at how we figure these out. Okay, we said this is the atomic mass, so we're looking at lithium as the example, and then you've got the atomic number at the bottom. So how do we know from this what is the protons, electrons, and neutrons for lithium? So let's write down the PEN. Okay, the atomic number is equal to the number of protons. So the atomic number is basically the proton number, which is equal to the number of electrons. Okay, so if we know that information there, so we can see here the atomic number is 3, so the proton number is going to be 3, and we said that the proton number is equal to the number of electrons, therefore the electron number is going to be 3. So how do we work out the neutrons? To work out the neutrons, you minus the atomic mass from the atomic number, so 7 minus 3, that will give you 4. So that is the neutron number. So if we look, we're going to go into the next session on the electronic structure of each different element. But for now, I'm just going to focus on lithium so I can just show you. So we said that the protons and the protons and neutrons live in the nucleus. So in the nucleus, you'll have the protons. So in this instance, you have 3 protons and 4 neutrons. Now you're probably wondering why I've put them in the middle. Okay, I'm going to go into that in a little bit. Just give me a second for that. So here I've got protons have a positive charge. Okay? Neutrons have a zero charge. Okay, the reason why you have protons with the neutrons inside the nucleus is the neutrons help the protons from repelling, because you'll know that like charges will repel. So in this instance, the neutrons are there to stop it from repelling. And then we've got 3 electrons. Now, electrons go on the outer shell. So here we've got 3. And the ruling for electron shells, which I'll cover in another session, is that on the first shell you can only have 2, and the second shell, the maximum you can have is 8. And in this instance, we've already got 2, we just need 1 more. So there's your electronic structure for lithium, which we'll go into next session. But for now, we're just focusing on the atomic structure, protons, electrons, and neutrons. So let's look at the properties now of protons, electrons, and neutrons. Now, you may get a 2-mark question that looks at the properties. So the properties that they're looking for the subatomic particles is the mass and the charge. So I've just told you what the charge is, subatomic particles, okay, and the table may look something like this, and it's worth 2 marks, where they may ask you to fill in the different boxes. So let's say if they gave you a charge for this, and they gave you the name of the electron here, and they gave you here the mass. So if we said the mass on this is 1, electrons have very little mass. Okay, so you can do 1 over 1,000, or you can write very small amount. Okay, and then, so if you know this is a plus charge, so you must know that there must be a proton, so you write in proton, and the mass on a proton is 1, and then if there's one other, that leaves it with a neutron, and so the charge on a neutron was 0, and we said that electrons have a negative charge. So this could be potentially worth 2 or 3 marks, depending on how many boxes that it leaves for you. So these are the properties of subatomic particles, which you need to memorize, so the mass and the charges for them. So that leads us to just making sure, let's have a quick review then. An atomic structure, you should be able to draw the atomic structure. So it has these 3 subatomic particles, protons, neutrons, and electrons. You should also know the properties of them, so the mass and the charge, and you should be able to do a basic atomic structure. And I've showed you how to work out the protons, electrons, and neutrons for an element, and the example that we used is lithium. I want you to now have a go at helium, and then have a go at some of the other elements and see if you can do them. Okay, I'm going to give you, pause the video and have a go at helium. Okay, let's just show you what helium is. So helium, we know it has an atomic mass of 4, and it has an atomic number of 2. Okay, so let's do the PEN, and we said the atomic number is equal to the proton number, which is also equal to the number of electrons. So if the proton number is 2, therefore the electron number is going to be 2. And to work out the neutron number, we do the atomic mass minus the atomic number, which is 4 minus 2. In this example, it's 2. Okay, thank you.